En route to Fairbanks by way of the United States Government Control Railway, a 470-mile line between Seward and Fairbanks, we travel over rugged land, its physical contours dramatized by skyscraping mountains, variegated streams, and earth-grinding glaciers. The vehicle in which we travel is called a brill car, and it rolls over the rails with all the comforts of a modern bus. Among the scenic highlights of this trip is Spencer Glacier, a silent river of solid ice, miles in length, slowly but surely gnawing its way through the valleys of the mountains to within a few hundred yards of the railway track. When the glacial snow finally condenses into ice, it is a greenish blue, the true color of ice as the light passes through. Melting ice and snow has fertilized many of Alaska's plains and valleys, and among the most famous of these is Matanuska Valley, the gateway to which, in summertime, is a great carpet of wildflowers. This fertile valley is just a small part of the 100,000 square miles of land available for farming and grazing in Alaska, a tremendous area potentially capable of supporting a vast population. Development of the vegetation resources in this great territory is just beginning, and although most of the land is under federal ownership, private use of it may be obtained subject to reasonable restrictions. Here, perhaps in this land of promise, lies a partial solution to Uncle Sam's refugee problem, for the population of Alaska today does not exceed 60,000 inhabitants, while in land area, it is about a fifth as large as the United States. Verily, Alaska is an empire in the making, for it is only at the inception of its economic development. Where acres and acres of wildflowers now grow, farms may flourish, as this one does a few miles from Fairbanks. The farmhouse is electrically lighted, steam heated, and even air conditioned. And in addition to the large modern barn, there is a granary, a central heating plant, and a cold storage building. Here is conclusive evidence that cattle may thrive in Alaska, where 65 head of Guernseys and Holsteins produce over 500 quarts of milk per day. As there are not yet many cows in this territory, milk sells for about 25 cents per quart, and cream for about $2 per quart. And now we arrive at Fairbanks, known as the Golden Heart of Alaska, the northern terminus of the Alaska Railroad, and the base of supply for miners and trappers throughout the territory. Located almost in the geographical center of the country, Fairbanks has a financial and commercial importance far beyond the actual size of its population of about 4,000 inhabitants, most of whom depend upon gold mining for their livelihood. About 100 miles south of the Arctic Circle, in the suburbs of Fairbanks, stands the University of Alaska, the most northerly university in America, where over 200 students are taught the essentials of modern education. School was not in session during our visit, but we saw in the new buildings that were being erected convincing evidence of the progress and growth of this praiseworthy institution. Not far from Fairbanks are the Placer gold mines, where 9 million yards of gravel are dredged each year, one of the largest dragline mines in the world, employing about 700 men at the peak of the season. The Fairbanks mining area is approximately 30 miles wide and 50 miles long, and since the first discovery in 1902, its gold-bearing streams have yielded more than $100 million, and they are still giving up their treasure. The bedrock is taken up in huge dredges, inside of which the gold is recovered by a quicksilver process, housed in this building. This sign was meant as a practical joke, but your narrator, like most tourists, doesn't believe in signs. The nugget he picks up is made of brass, and it is one of many planted there for the benefit of gullible visitors. But in a bank at Fairbanks, we had an opportunity of photographing a pan of real gold nuggets, valued at $17,000. Years ago, in the wildcat days of gold mining, we heard of phony gold bricks that were passed around for a price. But here we behold the genuine article, real gold bricks, valued at $185,000. Modern gold mining is a far cry from the lone prospector who once traveled with all his worldly goods and a kit upon his back. Here at Skagway, we meet Skagway Joe, who poses for us in an outfit typical of the gold rush days of 1898. One of the most notorious gamblers who figured in the gold rush era of '98 was Soapy Smith, and he is reincarnated here by a law-abiding citizen of Skagway. Another famous character who harkens back to the gold rush days is Mrs. Harriet Pullen, who has preserved in her museum many relics of a romantic and thrilling era. This is a gala day in Skagway, for a boat has arrived with hundreds of tourists, and the local population is all dressed up for the occasion. Among the more colorful types are the Siwash Indians, a tribe that inhabits the northern Pacific coast. There are about 15,000 of them in Alaska, and only a few have intermarried with the white inhabitants. At McKinley National Park, we visit the United States Government Hotel, built at a cost of $350,000 and having all the comforts and conveniences of a modern hostelry in a metropolitan city. McKinley Park is named after the late President McKinley, whose name was first applied to that monarch of mountain peaks situated in the heart of the great park area, Mount McKinley, known to the Indians as Mount Denali, or the home of the sun, rising 20,300 feet, the highest mountain in North America. The most numerous of Alaska's big game animals are the caribou. They collect in large herds, especially during the fall months when their migration begins. At such times, they are easily hunted, and those killed are a fundamental source of food. But as far as we are concerned, we will always associate caribou with the majestic grandeur of Mount McKinley, the scenic highlight of Alluring Alaska.